playoffs. It seems like the sort of power rankings has these as like 5th to 7th-ish place teams, maybe a bit higher in some cases, and so I think this is definitely a very important battle, whether, by the time the season ends, for maybe even who makes playoffs or at least seeding.
I mean, it's interesting to hear that because at the same time, right now, 100 Thieves, they win this game, they're tied for first place.
Also true.
Right? So while some people may see them as a 5th to 7th team, I don't think the 100 Thieves has themselves pegged there, and
sure.
And Clutch Gaming has certainly had 2 very strong games. They've had 2 poor showings as well, but
yep.
It's kind of remains to be seen a little bit for me where their true strength lies. So
yeah.
I definitely think that while they could be around the lowest tiers of the playoff teams, they also could make a push and end up near the top.
Right, and I had Clutch Gaming super highly rated. I know on the dive you had them as the 3rd place team, I think, coming in. 4th place team coming into the split, right? Because, but yeah, the quality of wins for Clutch were CLG, who came into the day at 1-3, and Golden Guardians, who's 0-4 at this point in time. So Clutch have not yet given us an impressive win. We'll wait till we see what they can do, because I do think the quality of their players is super duper high. 100 Thieves, of course, yes, a delight so far, 3-1, and as you mentioned, could tie for first with a win here, matching up against Echo Fox and Cloud9 with that record. Band still coming through, 1 more to go. We see a Corky band in here on this one, and that's going to do the final one as a 0's off the table. It means Galio comes through for Peppermint.
AP Galio, very, very likely going to the mid lane and getting to see that for the first time in NALCS. So this should be exciting. It has been fairly popular in some other regions. We have been seeing it pop up. It's been a big solo queue thing here as well. It's not the old Galio that you had been seeing where people are going pure tank and try to get in front of the fights. It's much more poke. It's much more wave clear.
You see a death cap half the time.
Exactly. And if this guy goes in, the amount of scaling he has on a lot of his abilities, if you can actually get your full combo off with your passive proc, with an auto in there, you can 100 to 0 a carry if you can get on top of it.
As you would expect any 800 AP champion to do, you should be able to one-shot a squishy with that build, and that's why it's sort of viable. The Q is definitely really good poke, though. Things to watch out for, absolutely. Obviously, worth a lot for people. Taliyah going to be the counter pick in the mid lane, where you're going to grab that one, so I think everyone should expect maybe an adaptive helm out of Febivin at some point for Magic Resist item. And now, once again, Clutch Gaming's turn to make some choices here, as they've shown the jungler, and they've already mirrored the mid lane matchup. It's 4 more roles to pick for Clutch.
It's very interesting to see Taliyah come through as the answer, simply because I think so much of this lane is now going to come down to who actually can outpush the other. And you would expect that to be Taliyah, certainly in some of the early stages, but Galio has very good wave clear here as well. And if this is just that wave type matchup, both these laners can roam very, very well, right? And whoever actually gets the first jump on that, whoever can get out to the side lanes earlier, is likely going to have more of an impact.
The case of things to watch out for, and let's see as the Callista comes through. Clutch Gaming have rounded out their first phase of picks right now, so a support and a top laner still to be grabbed, and we'll have to wait until 100 Thieves bans that all away. 100 Thieves can, of course, continue to mirror the roles of grab and AD carry for themselves. Looks like they will do so with the Tristana, as that matches up here against Callista. So, same rules, both teams need a top laner, both teams need a support.
Definitely so. Jungle, seeing Jarvan picked up for the first time today, has been considered a very high priority for quite some time, but obviously falling through picks and bans in the earlier 2 games. Will be interesting to see how well Lyra can do on that. I always really like pairing Jarvan with any sort of solo laners that have CC, and in this case Galio, I think it can be extremely powerful when matched up there, because you can put on such powerful early gank threat, right? Even level 2, like do a red buff, go straight mid lane, you have your EQ in combination with a taunt or anything like that from the Galio can be exceptionally hard to get away from.
100 Thieves may be looking for a blind Gnar pick on the second phase here with the Camille ban. That's oftentimes one of the kind of picks you tend to see into the matchup. You can get in there and deal some real damage, and it's Sunday's most played 3 picks so far in 4 games as far as this split's concerned. And certainly Gnar is very, very powerful. Support ban coming through though for Clutch, and hoping to kind of pare down the blind pickables, but Tom Kench and Braum, 2 highly prized supports, of course, still on the table.
And honestly, I think that Gnar as a blind pick makes quite a lot of sense here for 100 Thieves, because if you are confident that you're better than your opponent that you're laning against, it's very hard to actually exploit Gnar in any way. He is pretty good at escaping ganks. He CSs incredibly well. He has good push. He has good team fight potential. He has good split push potential. He's such a kind of generalist type champion that can really do everything well. If you're just better than who you're playing against, well, guess what? There's not much they can do.
Absolutely the case. So 2 support bans coming through and a 3rd from 100 Thieves. Blind pick Gnar, will it be that, or is he going to go somewhere else entirely? Again, Braum, a highly prized support still on the table and maybe worth a rush picking here, unless 100 Thieves want to go somewhere entirely different. Keep in mind that we just heard from Smoothie saying, yeah, he thinks a lot more of the range supports might have been viable, but happy to still play tanks himself. And A few teams have switched around, and that Gnar will come through, so that makes 4 Gnar picks in 5 games for Someday. A support for Afro will be last picked here. Clutch Gaming's turn.
And it is interesting to see them leave that support pick for last for Afro. That tells me that there is some sort of conditional support that they are looking at. This is very likely, this is just going to be the support Shen, as well as the Jace top to try to answer into the Gnar. It's theoretically there could be some flex. It could be a Galio support or something like that, but I'm not expecting it.
No, I think you're right about Jace top with Shen support. I like actually the Shen pairing up. We talked about this in a game or two ago. Exactly. If your top lane is the one you want advantage on, the Shen support can show up and help upset that further in your favor. Jace should be favored early on. It was the counter pick after all. The Braum gets to be picked late for 100 Thieves. They get that one no problem. As Afro gets one of the most highly prized support picks despite the 3 bans coming through regardless. And we'll see what comes through into this one.
I mean, you can set up 4-man plays on the top side ridiculously easily with Shen. You have Galio roaming up for a semi-global ultimate. You have the stand uniting from the Shen from the bottom lane. Lyra shows up. All of a sudden, there's a 4-man dive happening on your Gnar, and that is something that you have to be very, very careful about if you are Someday. Even earlier in the CLG Echo Fox game, we saw anytime Darshan was jumping forward trying to be aggressive, Dardoch was there, right, to try to punish, to try to put pressure on that, and we'll see if Lyra can fulfill that same sort of role.
Sure. One thing I'm really pleased to see, actually, is how much faith Clutch Gaming has in their newest member in Solo. He has the least professional experience of all the players on this roster, and he's played 2 Gangplank games. He's now on Jace against Someday. Like, this is a lot of faith put into... He's not officially a rookie, but he's played so few LCS level games. They're like, you know what? Go ahead and take that NA Jace. Go ahead and win lane against Someday, who was considered the best top player in the world about a year and a half ago or so. And they're going to put the trust in him. They've got 2 globals as well. The Galio and the Shen can show up to make that fight even easier. And a Clutch Gaming win might very well be solo carrying.
It'd be really interesting to see if he can do that. And at the end of the day, you have to let your players play what they are comfortable on, right? If you put them, if you're like, nope, you're a Maokai only player, but they feel very uncomfortable in the matchup, if they feel they're just going to get slammed in that matchup, well, it's really unlikely it's going to go well for you.
It's going to be a fun one now as we are on a Summoner's Rift. Clutch Gaming at 2-2, 100 Thieves 3-1. They can battle to tie for a first if they can win this one here. Clutch otherwise can create themselves a nice tie at 3-2. Would be near the top sides of the standings as well. Clutch have yet to find themselves a win against a team with a positive record, though, so the questions are still out about how strong this team really is. So we update the runes in these squads. No surprise they're in a lot of these spots.
Yeah, pretty fun to actually see that is Electrocute here on the Galio. He's even taking sudden impact that could proc on his E or his ultimate coming in there to be able to get a little bit more spell pen. So definitely some one-shot type potential if you can get up on top of these squishies. But that being said, AP Galio from behind is not usually a very pretty picture. So we're gonna have to see a lot of it really just coming down to who has wave push in mid lane, who has control of this. Our jungler is going to get involved because if Talia or Galio can get out on the map and really start affecting side lanes, that's going to put their team heavily in the lead.
Yeah, I also want to point out something interesting that Solo's doing here. He's running Mana Flow Band and Presence of Mind, so he is just doubling down on, can I have infinite mana, spam Qs forever, and just shove my opponent out of lane with how much just spells I cast here. Obviously, Someday running for a Doran Shield to keep himself safe, but that's going to be somewhat difficult. Jace is supposed to win this matchup. He's supposed to be able to push in his opponent, and we'll see if Solo can do that. The questions are definitely there. Could he hold up alongside the rest of the team? And he's done okay for himself so far, but this is one where it's really up to him to do some carrying.
It certainly is, and the problem with Jace in a matchup like this, if you're just doing okay, is if you're just doing okay, you're kind of losing, right?
Yeah.
You need to be winning lane on a Jace. He is much more of an early game, mid game type champion. You need to be able to have side lane pressure because it's so hard to team fight on this guy on an even level. So, doing okay is not enough. And Presence of Mind is a bit weird to me, honestly, for the Jace, simply because it doesn't have super spammable spells. Like it gives you unlimited mana for 7 seconds, but you can do a combo out like this. But the problem becomes how many Qs can you actually get out, right? And in this case, it's 1 Q before the Presence of Mind expires. So as far as like total worth later on, I'm not really sure how good it's going to be in the early stages. Every time you get a level up, you can try to poke them out. And
yeah,
it's all towards early game.
It was 120 mana about right there, and then next time around maybe he has mana flow bandit for the next one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch for. It certainly he thinks it's going to be enough to matter. I don't expect him to build tier as a result. Otherwise, your runes become useless by mid game. And he can keep trying to play the early power here. He's got the waves building up and starting to push. But Someday right now keeping up in farm, and his health bar is not in too bad of a spot either. As a quick ward comes out for Ryu, hoping to track where Lyra might be, but doesn't see him yet. They can probably surmise Lyra's top side as he takes down the Gromp, gets close to level 4, and he should, I believe, get that off of Wolves.
Yeah, and Ryu was already threatening a roam down to the bot side when he went missing. He did have the push. You saw that Apollo and Hakuo had to back off, had to give up a minion or two there, simply because they were worried about where this Taliyah could be. And it is Taliyah so far that has the pushing advantage, that is getting out to the sides, even just to drop these wards, and will be more of a threat to the side lane, something you're always going to be having to worry about. Anytime a Taliyah goes missing, you have to be cognizant of the fact that she could be showing up in your lane very quickly with that Rockstar passive.
Absolutely. She is scary, and it's dangerous. It's going to be fun, though, because both these mid laners can go from about halfway down the river straight into one of those side lanes because of their respective ultimates. So good luck dealing with Ryu and Febiven as that time comes across, and whoever wave clears faster is going to have a nice time with it. Of course, Ryu, by going for the minion dematerializer, going to have a better time of doing that wave clear. And good luck to maybe the Clutch Gaming side lanes. Right now, not a lot of gains by Solo just yet. Good damage to Ryu. Actually does not quite land the knockback, and a nice juke by Febiven all the same. First TP used.
It's going to be very interesting because there are a lot of globals, semi-globals, summoners, etc. that you have to track when you have Summoner Spellbook here on Aftermoon. He could be going to TP. You have to track the Stand United. You have to track the Galio ultimate, his teleport. You have to track the Taliyah ultimate. So there's all these things where people can show up kind of somewhat unexpectedly that you have to really do a good job managing and understanding when can these guys be somewhere, how fast can they get there, can we go for these fights because of that? Because if you choose a fight and take too long to kill them, Galio shows up or Taliyah shows up and really changes the math on that. Certainly can get swung in your opponent's favor very quickly.
And there's the first push out. Finally, Solo getting Someday to recall this one. He's going to, of course, be able to TP back in the lane, no problem. 11 CS lead will go down. Oh, no, he's actually going to go and show up in the lane, so that'll actually be more like an 8 farm lead, but Someday will recall a little bit later. The first back for Solo should be a few long swords, I believe, and see if he can keep that pressure going. Hasn't really pushed out Someday much just yet. Might grow later on.
Yeah, but so far so good. He's doing okay, and actually going for very heavy laning focus with this, but Ryu moving forward. Meteos is here.
Yeah, a little bit of damage there. Nice flash get away from the knockup, but now he's going to run out of health bar. Flash auto, stun auto comes through, and Meteos gives himself a kill. No knockup to be had, though. Lyra couldn't keep him inside the turret range, so a nice first blood comes through. Febiven took a fight right as Meteos was coming, and it backfired.
Yeah, Meteos in Ryu's back pocket, and that's why he stepped forward there. Just well done, honestly, from them. Febiven, this is also right after he TP'd back, which is always really going to hurt. It's a nice fling. Febiven tries to trade forward. Gets a lot of damage out onto Ryu, honestly, but Meteos is here, flashes forward, gets the last auto for the passive, and nice little sidestep to avoid Lyra.
No, that's too bad for Febiven. Obviously, it was one of the duos we gave a lot of credit to in the very beginning of this season. That Lyra Febi could have been a really strong 2-on-2, but right now, Ryu and Meteos getting the better of them. Still much more games to be played, of course.
And it's honestly just down to Meteos being there faster, right? If Lyra is there as that fight starts, Ryu got knocked down to about 30% HP off the initial combo, right? If that's a flag and drag flash plus the electrocute proc here from Lyra, that could be their first blood. So just good pathing, good timing from Meteos to be where he needed to be.
So as we get ourselves into this one, as the first TP is used by After to get back to the bottom lane. What damage coming through? They seem to be fine here. Damage on Apollo. He's going to be okay. No big issues here on this. As minis are traded back and forth on the Thieves, keep their 300 gold lead. And I am actually very curious to see how this 2-on-2 does play out, because I have Apollo and Hakuo in very high regard in my mind. And I actually didn't have a lot of expectations out of Cody Sun and Aftermoon, but they've actually done very well for themselves, actually, so far in this season. And so I'm just kind of curious to see how this one actually plays out.
I definitely agree they've had a strong season for themselves. I will also say I don't really consider Shen support to be a very strong laner. It's something that I like to play quite a bit, and playing into melee matchups like Braum, you're generally forced to be fairly passive unless your jungler is there, and I feel like a lot of the advantage that you get from this sort of pick is more about
the flash and a knock up, the damage output, and the hourglass means nothing at all. Cody tried to immune some damage, doesn't happen. There's the kill coming through. Nicely played to the duo.
Hey, well done. The jungler is there. You can go forward, and they're able to clean him up extremely quickly. Codyson would have had to flash or rocket jump that taunt to really have a chance of getting out, and intentionally saves his summoners once he's already in the hourglass, but probably should have just held on to that as well.
Yeah, I think there's also a small misplay in the fact that it wasn't even a taunt flash, it was just the raw taunt. And being in flat taunt range as Trist feels like a small misplay to me, but either way, of course, a well-played gank. Codyson, yeah, maybe could have reacted better, but that means gold now tied back up. Clutch Gaming, well played on the 2-on-2, or 3-on-2.
Sometimes that's just partially comes down to a little bit of kind of overconfidence that you get because the Shen is not really able to do anything in these situations. He's just strafing back and forth, just kind of sitting there.
Wiggling.
Stop really having fear of that guy, and then jungler shows up. When the Shen is moving forward, you have to know something's up, like when he's looking for those sorts of taunts and plays, because it's going to be very hard for them to go for these 2v2 aggressive plays into a Braum, in my opinion.
Totally the case. So, nice pickup here. 200 gold lead, though, still 100 Thieves. They've, okay, minus 14 for Someday in the top lane. That, I don't actually know the statistical averages for what this match is supposed to look like for Jace versus Gnar. I know I've seen it several times, and it usually tends to be Jace's favorite. Obviously, it's supposed to be. Right now, Solo's doing pretty well. A nice little slow into Codyson, trading blows here. Nice juke in the queue. Cody, though, wins that trade.
I also think it's worth pointing out that Solo did go double Doran's blade. You know, he is going for a very heavy lane-focused style. This does delay your item purchases, right? This delays your Ghost Blade. This delays some of your bigger completions, or the trade-off of having more strength now. So you want to see even more kind of lane domination, I think, from this style that he's playing, whereas Someday picks up a couple Ruby Crystals. That's going to be building in towards his Black Cleaver or his Frozen Mallet, whatever he decides to go for first. And he will be kind of getting to that quicker as a result.
See if he can get online in time before too much top lane pressure makes him pay for it. I'm going to take a look at the top lane turret health, and it's still about 80%, so nothing major being done yet by Solo. 17 farm in the grand scheme of things means almost nothing here, so something more probably should be done to the Clutch squad.
And while Jace can push in Gnar, you know, it's not the same level of dominance as it is against some of these melee matchups where they can't actually fight back under the turret, and then Jace bullies you off the range minions and starts to really chunk the turret. Gnar can still defend the turret, right? This is a ranged champion you're talking about. He can still have access to the range minions, take those out. He can still wave clear fairly well, and if you get too close and you get Mega Nard into the turret, you're going to die. So there is kind of that line to walk where Jace tries to push in the Gnar, you try to poke him out, but unless you can chunk him down, it's tough to actually move forward and aggressively auto the turret very much.
I want to point out, as we do have our first Galio mid lane game so far, there's actually a lot of different builds. I've seen so many different mid laners playing, even incredibly powerful mid laners like Rookie, who's probably, in my mind, the best mid laner in China, builds him full tank still. But we've seen a lot of people build the champion full AP. We saw Death Cap in iwillGHOSTyou earlier today, for example. The average CSD for Galio at 50 minutes is minus 15. He's -4 right now after giving up First Blood. This is a very good for expectation laning phase for Heaven so far.
Yeah, I mean, give him First Blood, he's still at 10 CS a minute. He pretty much. He's doing very well for himself, I think, as far as the farm game goes. Has been relatively passive, and he's looking pretty good because of it. But yeah, there's a lot of different builds. There's full tank, there's tanky AP, where you see people go, you know, Abyssal Mask and things like that into maybe Leandries. There's
and then Proto Belt, and then back to full
Proto Belt, exactly, into full tank. There's also things I've even seen like Luden's Lichbane and these sorts of builds, like extremely aggressive builds. So people all have their own take on it. And most of them do work fairly well, honestly. It's just kind of risk reward. The more heavily you go into the AP, the more you're getting out of his really extreme AP scaling. But if you miss, if you get caught, you're going to die instantly. So
absolutely,
trade-off.
And I do just really enjoy watching pros figure out what items are the best to build as more and more teams pick this up. You're going to start seeing these builds coalesce and you start figuring out the trends and whatnot. So I just find that to be very compelling. Looking again at the bottom lane, and I want to see how injured this turret is, and yeah, pretty much none at all. They've run Demolish, but the threat of what Braum Trist can do to you, Yasuko will go for the attack, but this time around he finally gets to Demolish off, but I think it's like one of the first, or maybe at most second time he's been able to demolish that turret.
Yeah, and you always have to worry about Ryu, you know, ulting down there, Someday TPing in, these sorts of things if you do pressure too heavily, if you push too far up. Totally. Glissa is certainly not one of the safest sieging champions.
Yep. But yeah, now that Kalista is 6 though, like Hako can feel a lot more safe, that it's going to be much harder to be ganked and kill off the Shen, and you put down the dodge zone for Apollo as well. So, right, as long as they're tracking Ryu, as long as they're tracking Meteos, everything should be reasonably okay. Solo back into the lane, going Ruin King first item, which I actually quite like a lot. If you think you're going to keep fighting a tank for a long time, instead of building lethality against someone who's going to build Ninja Tabby, you build anti-health items against someone who's stacking health.
And I think it makes a lot of sense when there's a Braum, there's the Sejuani, who are both going to be extremely tanky, and there's also the Gnar, who's going to be building a lot of HP there too. So that makes quite some sense. And something else that is worth talking about a little bit, is the Summoner Spell. Looks up, but Lyra is actually going to be caught out.
Lots of hard CC being chained in. Here comes Galio, the stopwatch to buy some time as well. The knockups, the AoE taunt there as well. As the damage going to be had, though, is Lyra about to lose his life.
Oh my
but
god!
But flag and drags out. Are you kidding me? He survives. The shock blast shoots down the bot lane as well. Aphromoo low on health. The backline pushed out. And how did no one die?
I cannot believe he got out of that. The Galio ultimate damage reduction coming through so big there for Lyra as everyone shows up bot lane. 10 men in the bot lane. No one goes down. And here it is one more time. Lyra pushing in, trying to steal away this blue buff, but the 100 Thieves collapse even so quickly, and stopwatch so pivotal there too. They get taunted off. It looks like
it just didn't hit him again.
Yeah. I think Ryu actually misclicked, and it looked like there was an auto or two that went over on the Feb event. Not 100% sure, but that's what it did look like. Either way, definitely some frames of vulnerability from the Cataclysm, the stopwatch delay, the Galio ultimate coming through. His W comes back up for that Aegis, and barely gets back out.
Okay, well, Lyra, 0 deaths. Yeah, completely calculated. He's perfect here. Gonna get a red buff steal as well, but Rift Throw going down to the bot lane means 100 Thieves is pretty much certain to get first turret out of this one. Meteos now, we're going to share the gold here, so they're all rich together.
I always personally prefer if you just give solo gold to the AD carry.
I agree.
I mean, I think it actually, even if it's just one person, it doesn't even have to be the AD carry, simply because I think getting one individual to an item breakpoint faster makes a bigger difference than splitting the gold across a couple of times, right? And that's so much about what this game is, right? When you complete one item, it's worth so much more than the sum of its parts. And that is why, getting to that very quickly is so important.
Really agree with you on this one, but 100 Thieves share it out across the rest of the squad. Solo continues to stay at plus 16 in the top side, so that difference in farm seems to stabilize at this point around. When Ruin comes in, it might get a little bit nicer, but you're seeing an only 180 gold difference between the two.
And he is going to be going, as you said, play to the Ruin King, so working towards that. Definitely a very heavy 1v1 build. I think it's even less effectiveness as far as the team fight goes, so super heavy focus on the side lane. This is something that, Huni was actually building Blade of the Ruin King in Worlds when he was still pushing on Jace, but he also did go tier and kind of opted into the scaling for the Muramana, not Mune, to be able to get that, because that can be quite powerful later stages of the game, and when you're trying to stay out on the map and continue pressuring for a long time, mana can become an issue. We'll have to track how that 1v1 does go, as Someday has his Frozen Mallet completed. He's not too far behind. He has been defending his turret relatively well, and certainly still can have a lot of relevance in team fights where the Jace might not.
Yeah, and this time around, actually, Someday makes a recall without teleport available, picks up Ninja Tabby off of it, does give away a few hundred health off that turret. Solo's going to now kind of make his own time on this. Someday gets his own little window here, but you can see that Solo recalled in front of a cannon wave, which means it's slower for Someday to push one down. He loses less time, less farm overall. Someday has to push for a few more extra seconds, so Solo will be there soon enough. Someday walking down the river.
And to explain that a little bit for those of you who don't really understand the pushing of minions and why it works this way, it's essentially the cannon minion takes 8 tower shots to die from full HP. So when you actually base on a cannon minion, it absorbs so much damage from that turret that all the ranged and melee minions are not dying. You come back, you can hopefully collect all of that gold, or at least lose very little, which does make quite a big difference in the long run.
And so he comes back to plus 20 CS lead as a result, because his push into recall was better than Someday's recall in front of a squishy wave. With poke back and forth, Someday still feeling pretty good about his armor stack, and this turret still at half HP. Have yet to see a roam to this side of the map. To be fair, have yet to see Someday affect the rest of the map either, and if Solo's able to just kind of have a slightly winning lane matchup and keep Someday from affecting the map, I suppose that's a reasonable way to play top lane as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. The question just becomes, can he keep him there forever, right? You're keeping him there for now. Meteos is going to get the red buff, and they've been collapsing, but it looks like they will be able to walk out.
They're going to try for Bramax. They're in a 2v1 on this one. The flash gets away from the flag and dragon and jumps back to his teammate, so they're not able to land the EQ. Solo roams out, but only gets some damage. Nothing else for it. Has to run back to his own lane, and that means some alone time for Someday.
Good roam, though. Honestly, you may as well try that. You know, he did have the wave push, so he's not going to lose much of anything up in the top side. You can see he roamed again on a cannon wave. He's not even going to lose, I think, a single minion. Maybe.
He lost exactly 1 melee.
So not bad at all.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the kind of opportunity cost to go for that. But you know, Solo does want to try to make plays happen. He wants to try to have something going on now, because you know, if it's just them stalling out in the side lane forever until they both have TP into a team fight, well, somebody's going to be worth more in that situation, right? So he doesn't need to extend his damage. He doesn't need to try to find these fights, and he's looking to do so.
If he can, gets a clock to the face, though. It shoots out minions for the rest of it all. Someday only at 1,200 HP, and he's kind of playing far away. Yeah, the rest of the squad's coming across. A nice flash ult. Gets away from the stun, though. Meteors in the fray. But look at that. It's Galio. He's got ability power. He's got damage. He's got a kill. Everything gets one. And now the re-engage Shen shows up as well. Still also trying to find some shots. Ryu about to die. One more shuttle to him, but he walks away just barely in time. Lyra, though, gets the flag across the back of the head. Electric gets the kill for himself. Now running away. Stun inside of turret range. You got to respect this a little bit. No stopwatch. Gets the shield, though. Stays alive. 2 for 0 so far to Clutch in that top side alongside Solo. This turret will indeed fall, and Clutch getting themselves a nice fight in the mid game.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from there. 100 Thieves not respecting the roam potential, the answer that can come in. Meteos was there first, but Stand United comes in. The Galio ultimate comes in, and Lyra arrives, and all of a sudden, it's 4 members in the top side, and here it is. They see the nice flash over top. The Stand United coming in on a solo, charges forward. Febiven takes down Someday, and now that Lyra has arrived, Ryu chunked out immediately, and it's full retreat here. 400 Thieves. Lyra honestly played that fight very well. Flagging drag over the top, gets another kill, and without the wave clear, there's nothing that Meteos and Aphromu can really do to hold on to that turret.
Nice stuff right here. So a 1,500 gold lead now, Clutch Gaming. 1 Drake outside 100 Thieves, though, is going to be a small lead for them. Next one comes up to 145. Baron coming up very, very soon. Interesting stuff so far. Stopwatch is still available for Apollo. Same for his lane mate down on the bot lane of Hakuho. Aphromu has one as well, as does his mid laner Ryu. So sometimes it can be very hard when you get 20 minutes in the game to remember who has what, and you can definitely see people overdive in the wrong cases. So maybe we'll see some baits come through as a result of that. Haunted guys now in for Febiven, building towards more ability power. Still wait to see if it's going to be a hybrid or a full AP build from here.
Yeah, and I think either can be fairly reasonable. I mean, if your carries are doing very well, I think you can afford to go more tanky. In this case, perhaps they are going to need more damage, especially if Jace is going to stay in a side lane. You probably don't want only Callista to be your main damage, because you do have a full tank Jarvan here already. The Braum is not going to really, or sorry, the Shen is not really going to add a lot of DPS for them. So I definitely think it makes sense to have a fair bit of AP. It's also worth noting Hakuho has picked up some fairly early CDR. He has 20% on himself already. It's going to make the Stand United's a lot more accessible. He's going to have that up quite often, and especially hitting level 11 for Shen is very, very big for that reduced cooldown on the Stand United. It's going to allow Solo to play so much more aggressively, and I want to see them proactively use that. Have Solo pushing up, trying to play aggressive, trying to set up dives so that Hakuho can have a good opportunity to use Stand United.
Yep. Of course, the 8.2 changes let him forward his build 400 gold faster. Of course, same for Aphromu. Actually, even more for Aphromu, who didn't actually go to the Eye of the Targon's replacement, just sitting on just Targon's Brace. So even further advanced on this side. Yeah, getting a little bit closer towards that Knight's Vow. In kind of either case, it looks like they're both putting towards the same items.
And Knight's Vow is certainly very powerful for their side. You know, and we're seeing mostly the tank supports just stick to Knight's Vow, sometimes Locket Rush. I would like to see a little bit more experimentation with that. I do think that there's opportunities to do things like, you know, rushing a Righteous Glory when your team is ahead. These sorts of things to help, you know, further increase your ability to engage, to find fights, I think can be quite powerful if the situation is right.
All right, so Drake fight coming up for this one as Mountain is spawned, and a leash for 100 Thieves, but back out they go. Solo has TP, as does Someday, but they've actually joined the squads. They're not heaping into the fight. They're staying there at the very beginning. Solo gets poked down a little bit, comes back to his team, finds some poke on Aphromu, but Someday alone could have been in a bad spot. The Ren lands a slow, but they're going to let that all reset for now. Now, once again, looking to be engaged as Someday is far and his Mininar. Apollo actually hitting the mountain break once again.
Yeah, we'll see if they go for it. They're jumping on a solo now.
CodySun a bit low, Solo's going to stay alive for this one. One more shot would stun him, though. Shock Blast comes in, nearly gets the kill. Lear in the back line. He's found Aftermove, forcing the flash away from this one as well. He's going to get taunted up. That should be the kill. He's got the stopwatch, burns it here. How's the re-engage going to go? Fevin's going to land the Q. No, not just yet. Apollo gets the attack, though. And now that's another kill in a row for Clutch Gaming. 4-1 in this score. Nicely
done, and they didn't even have to blow the Stand United or the Galio ultimate, which is so critical. So, despite the fact they did take a fair bit of damage, Solo was not really close to going down with those two ults in the back pocket, and they can look to force this once more. CodySun did have to go back to base. We'll see if they want to start this up, though, because there's quite a bit of gold on the Clutch Gaming side. Fevin has his full Leandries if he wants it. 1,400 gold on Solo. Over 1,000 gold on really all their members, and as such, it feels like they want to back off and look to buy before they start any fights.
And Thieves, though, do get the time, despite that death, to get themselves this nice Drake. It's almost going to be, it should be actually rapid fire cannon out for CodySun, so he's very much online on this Tristana, a champion to respect a lot. Even though there are two tanks in the squad of Clutch Gaming. Watch this fight again.
And here it is, Solo a little bit separated. It looks like they think they can jump in on him, but again, Stand United was still available. There is still the Galio ultimate. Those are things you have to respect. This does cost CodySun both his summoners and pushing him out of the fight. It means Afromu is going to go down. His stopwatch is now down here too. So nice little fight for Clutch, but certainly not the end of the world for 100 Thieves, as they do come away with the dragon, and it's not too many deaths.
And some alone time in the mid lane. Actually, no one showed up to mid in time, so CodySun gets a date with this turret. Oh, he's got to respect for the fact that Lear is here with a nice ulti, perfectly placed out by CodySun, gets away with it.
Yeah, very well done there. I wonder if Lyra could have just gone for the Cataclysm straight up.
Yeah,
and,
maybe should have.
Maybe tried to look for the immune frame there or flash ahead, something like that. If you're committing the Stand United, I feel like you should be willing to commit at least your ultimate as well. And
I agree.
Try to get that.
It's a known quantity that she can knock you back. It does feel like a small misplay by Lyra, so unfortunate there. He didn't predict it, or he thought he could do it on reflex and was slightly wrong. I don't know what was going through his mind, but certainly a misplay on Lyra's side, or it was on cooldown for 2 seconds, but I think that's the least likely.
It's definitely a very tough timing window, right? It is extremely small, but you like to see the players going for those sorts of plays. Either way, not that big of a cost. It is the rank 2 of the ultimate. You can see it's cooling down here pretty quickly.
Yeah, not too bad.
For the Shen, as he does have some CBR in his back pocket.
So, waves getting cleared. Solo still on split push duty, and it looks like he's doing a decent job of keeping Someday away. Look at how far back Someday is recalling, whether he's respecting a tower dive, something else. Most of this bottom river actually lit up by Clutch, but there's basically no wards at all protecting this Someday side lane from the side of 100 Thieves. Solo getting some alone time, and that should be a turret going down. And even though he wasn't hard smashing top lane, like forcing recalls, getting first blood, Solo was doing, I mean, I guess the grade is he's doing well up against Someday.
Yeah, he's certainly doing well. And Someday has not been able to still get involved in really anything. And yes, you could say, oh, well, he has the help of his composition. He has the help of the Shen and the Galio and these sorts of things. But of course, they're drafting.
Welcome to League of Legends.
They're playing around that team game. And I think that Solo has done well. And as long as he can continue to keep Someday out of the fights, I think Clutch is going to be happy to take 4v4s.
Go chunk down to about 2/3. The Shock Blast puts CodySun down on a couple hundred health as well. And now they're playing around this Baron, it looks like, as the ward's getting swept back and forth a little bit. Lyra not wanting to be poked by Ryu anymore, as Leandri's Torment's done. That is plenty of pain available from this to Leah. Morellonomicon done, of course, as well on top of that one. Fevin will get his next item soon enough, as he's already on his 2 completed.
Yeah, and he has 1,700 gold, so we kind of get to find out, is he going for tank now, or is he going for more pure damage, as the base will come in.
Because he may well want Thornmail because of, 3 Tristana. That is, nope. He's going Death Cap, let's go.
He's a manly man.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Death Cap. Ludens, probably Death Cap, though. I do think Ludens is actually quite powerful with AP Galio, simply because it is so much on the Q in the initial poke. If you can hit just 1 Q on a squishy with the Ludens proc, with the threat of being able to follow up and then proc the Electrocute and the Leandri's burn, it is very, very scary the amount of damage that actually comes out.
I like that by Fevin. Wanted to make sure that no one was trying to steal, so he leaves it at 700, then lands Q auto. It's not going to matter in 90% of games, but there's going to be that 10% that, oh, actually Ryu was there, and he pressed Q over the wall. So I like the little attention to detail by Fevin.
Yeah, it's
a lot of other 2-on-2.
Smart. It doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, he's slow by red buff. This is going to be hard. He has no one to ult to, not just yet. Lyra's getting kind of close. There's a Shen ulti W for some damage reduction, but he's already flashed out. Yeah, cancel. That is a lot of resources down by Clutch. Well played by the duo.
Yeah, that is pretty costly there. Cost them The teleport from Solo, the flash from Febvin, as well as the Stand United again there from Hakuo. You never really like to be using Stand United defensively. Yes, it can turn around fights, but generally at the pro level, people are respecting it and will back off. So, you know, using it offensively, using it proactively is generally where you will get more gains. And it is going to cost them a turret here too, as 100 Thieves make a play on the map, get something out of that, and
nicely done.
Are trying to get some vision back around Baron here as well.
Turret lead for 100 Thieves, 3-2 here. They've had Cody Sun at the center almost all of it. Now some damage around the Baron pit as everyone trades some blows. Nicely timed rocket him this time around. Cody Sun gets it correctly, buffers it against the knock-up from the Flag and Dragon. Out he goes. Baron is angry, hits Leo a couple times.
Solo may want to try to get out to the side lane, but for now, there's a couple members from 100 Thieves up on the top side, and they're trying to pressure this turret, but lots of wave clearers here with Ryu, and even with 5-man in the mid, they can't actually get much done.
Yeah, good job by somebody as well, laying a lot of Qs. Bam! Hits him again. Out goes Lyra. The mid lane siege not going to happen. Full 3 items done for Cody Sun. This Tristana is completely online, and it's going to have to be respected. That team fight damage can be nuts for him.
Definitely the case. As you get more levels in, getting the additional range over Kalista, I think just makes it harder and harder for Kalista to participate, as easily as you can here on the Tristana.
Word of the wall, they see, yep, they're waiting to bait Baron. I'm pretty sure Clutch Gaming has control of Scuttle Crab, so Baron could not be started without the knowledge. Once again, mid lane being sieged. Of course, 100 Thieves have the outer turrets gone already, so they have to push for a tier 2 if they want anything other than this break in 20 seconds.
And it's tough for Solo because he used his TP to try to respond to the top side when Febvin was getting jumped on, and that means he wants to be in the bot lane pushing, but he actually can't afford to go down there, knowing the 100 Thieves could simply start up the Baron. So for now, he's going to have to stick around, but this Infernal Dragon is going to be very impactful at this point in the game, and both teams certainly going to be looking to posture for vision, and we may get a big fight over it.
All right, well, Carl sitting nearby. Solo's mana pool running a little bit low now up to level 16, but he's going to kind of start waiting for regen. This could be an issue in the team fight as he spends another section of it. A little bit of poke does matter, but 100 Thieves still feeling okay for themselves. 2,300 gold lead puts Clutch Gaming ahead. You would expect in inventories. More poke towards Lyra, though, going to help push that away. And
the mini waves are actually pretty important to track here because they are both pushing for Clutch. So if they can just sit in this kind of dead zone where they're both scraping back and forth, sitting around mid lane, eventually the mini waves will have to be responded to by 100 Thieves, which would give Clutch the opportunity to start this up, and that's why Someday is actually leashing this and looking for a fight.
The bolt from Braum. Cody Sun walks away for this one. Now comes to re-engage, and Galio shows up for no knockups, but a lot of ultis burned yet again. Hakuo still has his 3 burn on the side of Clutch.
A lot of flashes, a lot of summoners used there too here for Clutch. And it's going to be 100 Thieves trying to start this up. They know that the minion waves are pushing against them. Time is kind of running out for that. They either need to answer those side lanes or start a fight. And Someday now back into Mainidar, this would be Clutch Gaming's opportunity if they're going to go for it.
All right, gets the reset, doesn't matter. Nice push off, and they've got the Infernal Break for themselves. Clutch Gaming should be able to knock down mid lane outer as a result, though. That's going to be a trade of resources as Someday also walks to bot lane to get some farm. I wonder if Clutch can actually hold off for mid lane tier 2 as well, because again, they know Someday is far, but they won't go for a dive just yet, even though they had Lyra's ulti up. And figured TP was going to be enough of a threat, so a trade of Infernal Drake for mid lane outer. I'd probably take Infernal Drake if I was 100 Thieves, so.
Yeah, definitely at this stage in the game, you favor that, certainly. And they do get the mid lane. They're not going to be able to get top lane or the bottom lane turrets with those waves that we're pushing, but at least they're going to regain some vision control around the Baron, so that's something going for them. And
yeah. It's actually worth noting that, yes, it was a turret for Infernal Drake, but also it was like 3 triple stacked waves, so even the gold wasn't even that much in Clutch Gaming's favor, and 100 Thieves feel like they're eking back into this one after a somewhat rough mid-game after a really good top lane fight out of Clutch.
Yeah, definitely the case. Solo does have his Lord Dominix, so he's going to be able to answer a lot of the armor that's now being built up by Someday, and we'll see if he can continue to get anything done in the side lanes. Certainly going to be looking to pressure that continuously, but Someday has been kind of just holding on, sitting back, farming up, allowing the rest of his team to scale, and now is looking more heavily to group and try to make plays with the team in the 5v5. If he can force Jace to join, it's to his advantage, and if Jace can keep him in the side lane, yeah, he's definitely going to be the happy one.
TP's back up. It seems to be where Jace wants to be once again, now that that summoner is available and he can join the team fight as needed. Baron obviously on the table and something to respect quite a lot. It's been away for 12 minutes or so. Pushes the wave in, gets a few chips off the turret, but the paint still looks pretty good on this one. And Someday just keeps the wave clear going. The farm basically equivalent now across those two.
And it's just kind of come down to this battle for vision around the Baron, where neither team is really confident enough to start it up. So they're just waiting for a mistake, and this may be that mistake. Solo's caught.
Found Solo. Shen to them as well. In comes Mega Knight.
Nice knock.
They've got the taunt. They've got the damage. Cody-san loses his life for this one. Now it's a 5v4, and Ryu's got to flash away. But there comes the re-engage. Cataclysm gets the second kill now for the team as the last hit goes to Apollo. The jump forward. Febiven does have flash if you can find someone to reach, but those are 2 big kills. The carries are gone. This might look like Baron.
Solo actually knocked Cody-san out of the air with his rocket jump. He hammer form knocks him back, and they're going to go straight onto the Baron. They have Apollo for this secure. We'll see if they can actually stack up enough spears and pull this off.
If it's only people hitting the turret or hitting the Baron, it's very easy to stack enough spears to make the Ren 1200 or more. This should be, unless you heavily misplay, an easy clutch gaming Baron.
See if they can time it.
You smite early, and then you just Ren yourself at 1200, and it's almost impossible to do.
Meteos is backing off.
943 is the Ren. That's when they choose to pull the trigger. Nice pick up there, and Baron picks up for Clutch Gaming. 6-1 and kills on the taunt to be found as well. Of course, Ryu nowhere to be found. He is dead, and it's going to force a jump away from Africa. Gets to his teammate, gets away.
Nicely done, honestly, from Clutch, and really, again, utilizing those globals so incredibly well. It's Solo trying to take down this blue buff. Cody-san feels like he's caught him. Someday is coming in, and Cody-san trying to get away here, just gets swatted out of the air there by Solo. Really nicely timed, interrupting the rocket jump. Hakuo comes through. Galio ultimate lands on the other side. They take down Ryu, and 2 globals better than 1.
Really nicely done. So Clutch able to play around him, and Solo only assists to his name, but continues to do some pretty good things for the squad. And gotta say, he's really, in my mind, performing well above expectation. He's actually been a part of their victories almost every time. I knew coming into week 2, he was actually the highest damage share top laner of any team. Some of that being he played a lot of Gangplank, but
and
has
to be
done well.
fair, his laning stats have not been very good, but in this game, I think he is certainly performing quite well, not only in lane, but in the later stages, being able to stay relevant. Past 30 minutes on this Jace is not always very easy, as we've seen time and time again in the LCS. So definitely props to Solo, and especially going up against Someday, who's considered by many to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, laning top laners in the league.
Yeah, they kept that one down for sure. Props to Clutch Gaming for that one. 100 Thieves, of course, can still make the comeback happen. We've seen them play long slugfest, such as against Optic in the opener of the season. They can certainly try to hold on for a bit longer. Tristana and I'm blanking on the name of Ryu's champion, Talia, have great wave clear, so they can probably hold their inhibitor line for quite a while. And they're up against his Baron buff. 3 turrets were already dead, so the question is how good is his Baron power play going to be? It's halfway gone already, and none of them have yet fallen.
Yeah, the top lane one is getting very, very low, though. You can see Afromu sneaking down to the bot side, perhaps thinking he could get a 2v1 kill onto Solo, but for now, I'm expecting this one to go down. One more passive hit here from Galio should take it out.
Yep. Smack, 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 down it goes. Turrets fall. That's the first tier 2 to go. Mid lane not under much fire, as Apollo needs to be pretty respectful of all this. Bot lane goes down to Solo, and he's doing well also. So 2 of the tier 2's gone during the Baron buff, and still a minute to play for. If he can rotate mid, they can maybe push them off and get the 3rd.
Yeah, despite the fact that it is 6-1, and things certainly feel like they're in Clutch's favor. 100 Thieves definitely have some very good team fighting of their own, and Cody-san is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, almost on that full 6 items now for Tristana. And he has his 4 damage items and the QSS, so if they can get the proper team fights, they certainly can come out on top.
There we go. Look at them do it. 3 turrets going down during the Baron buff. 35 seconds till that's going to be a reset, and they will actually still hold on to the Baron buff during the Elder Dragon spawn. The question is, do they get to spend the 3,000 gold they just earned, or do they let Dragon Control go over to 100 Thieves? This is kind of the next big moment as the buff time's out in 20 seconds.
It's a tough question, but this has kind of been a problem for them on their base timers. A few times throughout this game, they had to give up a Dragon earlier because of this. Again, Apollo has 3,000 gold on him right now. Solo has 2,200 gold on him right now, and that's not the situation you want to be in when you're fighting. Like, there's so much gold in their pockets that the actual gold advantage really isn't there.
Fnatic Brush, Febiven knows all about this. He's done it himself. They're going to go for the knockup. They found 2 with Someday. And they might get that first kill. The knockup is going to find Gnar. The rest of the team got away for this one. Someday once again walking forward, close to Mega Gnar. The Talia ulti not getting a lot of purchase either, and they've actually forced 100 Thieves away.
Yeah, they have. They pushed them back. But for how long, right? They won the initial scuffle off the last fight. That was a couple big ultimates used. That's the Galio ultimate down. That's J4 ultimate down. And now they're going to be pushing in here, looking to see if they can get anything back.
Stacking spears again. Clutch waiting to see when 100 Thieves comes in for this one. Do they get to fight for this Elder Dragon? 100 Thieves actually have 3
TP.
Yeah. 100 Thieves have 3 digs to the name. They'd love to get them themselves. Won't need quite as much for Clutch. Here comes the teleport in for something, but he's only halfway on the Narvar. Big Ren comes in, picked up by Lyra on the smite. They time it together. And somebody got to go over the wall. So no steal quite to be had for 100 Thieves. Clutch even picks up a very small Elder Dragon.
Yeah, it honestly felt like 100 Thieves just waited way too long to actually commit to that fight. You can't allow them to have the Elder Dragon that low with that many spears in it, or they'll simply finish it, and then you can't take the fight. If they wanted to fight, they needed to force that earlier on, but perhaps they're not confident in their ability to win that fight at this stage in the game. And now, Clutch is going to have so much gold to spend up. You know, well over 3,000 gold was in the bank for Apollo. He goes back, buys a full Bloodthirster there, so these guys just got so much stronger.
Absolutely agree on that one. They did bring the teleport out of Peppervin to get him in a position a little bit earlier, but that seems to be just fine as Cody-san keeps farming up. He's at least approaching full build himself, and Ryu not that far away, though he's still holding on to some control wards. So some of these numbers are pretty at relevance, but yeah, team-wide it still is 9,000 lead, which is Clutch Gaming, generally speaking, more in their inventories. For example, the locket being done can be a really big deal for Hakuho that Afro does not yet have.
Yeah, certainly the case. But if 100 Thieves can slow it down, can stall it out for a little bit, farm it up, you can start to match those item completions. And as these guys start to hit 6 items, there's not really much more room to grow. You know, Mercurials can come in for Solo and Apollo, but they're done. A Void Staff, the gold for that is just about there for Peppervin. Yes, he can complete an additional item, but really, 100 Thieves do still have ways to win this game. It's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to them finding the correct fights and choosing their moments. So far, they have been fairly passive in these later stages. Once it feels like Clutch got an advantage, it feels that 100 Thieves have become a little bit gun-shy and perhaps just confident in their later game.
And sometimes it's so hard because it's literally Shen and Galio on the same team, and to press R and save whoever you find, and they've done a good job of being ready. The one time they did go for the aggressive play on Solo, it got turned around. 100 Thieves maybe just not sure where they can look to get the opening, but you're absolutely right, they haven't found that. They've had a single kill. It was on Peppervin, who of course can't ult himself, and that was off of a 2v1 in the mid lane. And
that was first blood.
Exactly, overextended on. So 100 Thieves got first blood, have gotten a kill since in 36-ish minutes. Maybe they can turn it around, but yeah, it's been draining away from them other than Drakes they've picked up, but it only means so much.
It does feel, though, at this point that we're probably just waiting for the next Baron. And it's Clutch right now that has the only vision in the area. They're trying to maintain control on the red side jungle of 100 Thieves. And we'll see if they're willing to kind of fight in this jungle or if they're just going to back off, retreat towards that Baron. Because they would like to deny any vision coming in here from 100 Thieves and be able to have the potential to start up this Baron and sneak it very quickly.
So shots on towards Lyra, loses a few hundred HP, but not a big deal for him. He's got War Mug, so he'll regen that in about 4 seconds. Up comes the region, looks for what could have been an ult. Nope, wanted to maybe bait some flash, doesn't happen as Solo comes back and forth, finds a Shock Blast on a Ryu. Again, not building full lethality, so not quite the most dangerous of Shock Blast, but still meaningful, of course.
Yeah, getting a little bit poked down, certainly not going to hurt, but he's right back to that side lane, trying to push it in. They're trying to maintain wave control. Top lane is pushing for Clutch. They have mid lane pushing now. Bot lane is pushing in. This is when you start up the Baron, because you have all 3 of the waves working for you. And 100 Thieves need to either respond or check the Baron. Meteos doesn't know, though, is this a bait? What's going on? And now they have spotted it with the blue orb. They're trying to move forward. Will Clutch commit? No, looks like they're going to pull off.
Okay, wall comes in for Talia. That's going to be one ulti down. Lyra is going to go for the 3-man knock-up with the Galio coming across. Only finds Braum, though. Is the team going to stay safe for this one as Lyra down about 1300 HP. Ryu on the side finding some shots as well. And Cody-san is safe and untouched. He's going to look for Lyra. Has to push him away. Solo has to flash the wall, but the chase is in for Sunday. He's up to no actually rage at all. Unable to ult during the fight as Apollo gets slow, gets the ulti in for Hakuho. But the chase is in. Another shot comes through. Cody-san finds one. He finds 2. And it's back control finally for 100 Thieves.
And that's the fight they were waiting for. Very, very patient from 100 Thieves. Really nice positioning. Ryu backing off to the side. And the Pixel Brush above red. He's able to kind of harass from there. And they're going right back onto the Baron. Peppervin, Lyra, Solo are still alive. They don't want to give this up. But can Lyra really make anything happen here?
Make the attempt, but it could just give away more kills. Shock Blast lands, pushed right back out by Dostana, but it's still within range. Nice ulti there, something guarantees he's going to be fine, and a flash from Lyra to make sure he doesn't get chased down. He flying dogs over the wall.
The top inhibitor turret did go down, though, due to Clutch having the minion waves in their favor, so that's something still working for them. But still, this is now a full build Tristana. 6 items, Mercurial Scimitar does come in. And Cody-san is going to be monstrously strong. You can see he was playing that fight very patiently, not jumping forward too early. Certainly did not want to be the reason that they lost that fight, and really, really good stuff from 100 Thieves to turn this one around. But let's watch it one more time. Clutch Gaming starts up the Baron. It gets spotted with that blue orb, and then they turn immediately for the fight. It's a good initial combo, but they don't catch either of the carries in this Cataclysm, really, because Cody-san simply jumps out. You see that combo comes in with the Galio. It's just on Aftermoon. Now watch Ryu at the top of your screen, how he's moving back and forth, up and down. Getting so much poke onto the team, and then Cody-san biding his time, does not use the rocket jump here, wants to wait, wants to make sure that it's a certainty before he jumps forward, goes in now, able to get the first kill onto Apollo there, takes him down, eliminates Hakuo straight to the Baron, and get that too.
Nicely done. So 100 Thieves bring it a bit closer. Only 7K separates these squads with the Baron buff on. That helps quite a lot as well. Several members also at full build. Cody-san and Apollo at that mark with only boots to sell to replace any items. And here comes the siege.
And when you look at the mid laners, like obviously there is still a pretty big advantage there, but AD carry is such a powerful role at this stage in the game. Cody-san is going to be unmatched, honestly. I don't think that there's much Apollo can really do to compare to the Tristana unless they can catch Cody-san, and that's kind of what it comes down to. You know, can you get that taunt flash and follow it up with something else? Because he has QSS, he has flash, he has rocket jump. A lot of tools there for him to escape.
Absolutely. Good luck getting onto him, of course, and every summoner, everything available. Talia Wall comes down to help separate the team a little bit. Febby going to have a hard time joining in. His E can't cross walls, and there goes inhibitor turret. 100 Thieves getting farther and farther into this one. Cody-san means very little. He's going to license that in 2 auto attacks. Complete footwork with 260.
And look at the waves. They have massive waves built up in the side lanes again. So this is what so much of League of Legends comes down to. Lyra going to walk down to bot, try to clear that up. That means this inhibitor is gone. And, well, he's not even going to be able to do so. They're still going to lose the inhibitor, but there's going to be turrets being pressured on both sides. They can just rotate up to top and look to take a free tier 2 outer. Lyra now will finally clear up that bottom turret, but this means there's no contest available for this top outer, and they can even reset. They can continue if they want, but things look very good on this Baron power play for 100 Thieves.
Does seem really good for them. That turret actually might just die to minion shots, but none of them are hitting it, so maybe he's gonna let that one fall because the fight in the top side of the map. The engage came through. Bramulti across the squad as well, and that's been dropping down. So 1 for 0 so far. Were they gonna be re-engaged? Yes, actually Hakuo goes back in, but there's no damage to be found in those backline members. And they're all life-stealing back up. Anyway, 100 Thieves already started the team fight well as Debbie goes down, never getting to even ultimate for himself. And now Solo's got to respect this as well. Guardian Angel still, but could be killed on the respawn. 2 inhibitors down now. Favor 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, Lyra wasn't even there. Hakuo didn't get his ult off on Fevivin to try to save him, and 100 Thieves just pounce right away. As soon as they see Lyra on the bot side, no hesitation, they're going to go straight in. Fevivin gets Sejuani ulted. They go straight onto him. Hakuo trying to just peel with the taunt, doesn't actually get his Stand United off at all. He might have been able to live had he done it.
He would have lived.
You know, certainly think he could have gotten out either way. 100 Thieves get 2 inhibitors, and now it's all feeling like it's coming apart. As Ryu has his death cap there too, has Sorkpot available. This is a true 6-item build now for Cody-san. He sold his boots. It feels like with the side lanes working in their favor, it's hard to see 100 Thieves losing this game, barring some sort of massive mistake. You just need to be patient. You let the super minions do their work, push in. As soon as someone responds to that, you move forward, you knock down the turret with the Tristana. It's pretty simple.
What a comeback so far mounted behind the Thieves. It's not yet over, but they're in such a good position to close this one out. Forget what the gold lead says on the top of the screen. Those don't matter too much anymore as the items are kind of being overbought at this point in time. Bot lane, this is a formality to drop. Who's going to get the last hit? Good job someday. A little bit quicker on the trigger here, but it's now pretty much one fight from death for Clutch Gaming. They need to hold on, and that's just going to be to stabilize this game.
Yeah, I mean, Cody-san even has double buffs. He has his Rage Pot on top. He has the Locket, the Knight's Vow, so much protection with multiple frontliners up there too. And every time a minion wave comes in, you see Fevivin moving up to the top side to get that. Simply walk forward, start shooting this. Both the solo laners are missing, so the turret is just going to be gone before they can even respond.
No chance at all. That's going to be the last inhibitor turret gone. The inhib itself is, of course, open now. See what they can find as this is going to start taking some real damage. CodySun going to go back and forth.
100 Thieves just need to back up. Top lane is pushing in so heavily. There's tons of supers up there working their way in. Now Feven goes to respond. As soon as he goes up there, you step forward.
Oh, Stun's going to find one. Q says Popsol is going to stay alive with 2 ultis down. That might mean the signal of a team fight then. Can they get back in? Of course, they have the Fevi ultimate. The knockup is in. Here comes the attack. Can they find anyone? Only knockup on the support, though. The re-engage.
Oh, the Megadar!
To 4. Lear about to lose his life. 3 shots for CodySun. And it's actually 1 kill picked up, though. A couple, actually, in the favor of Clutch Gaming. They found 2 themselves, but traded back as Cody will still not go down. Rocket jumps away. The shot onto Apollo. After holding the front line, the kill comes through courtesy of Ryu. And it's Solo left up alone. Can he be the guardian angel of the team with it in his inventory? And I think the answer is no. 1v3, the minions being the 4th man here on this one. 100 Thieves will mount the comeback. They will also end the day tied in first place. 4-1 is their record. What a game.
Such a good comeback there from 100 Thieves. Down so far in the earlier stages, showing a lot of poise, a lot of discipline to be so calm throughout those stages, to get to the later stages, to scale up and really find those team fights when it counted. And Ryu and CodySun in those later stage team fights were just so strong.
Yeah, absolutely massive performance there. CodySun more than doubled the damage output from Apollo here. A late game Tristana, I mean, that is what this champion does. You are so safe, you can get away from everything, you can't be engaged upon easily, and you just belt out damage after damage after damage.
And really those fights just came down to how well the rest of 100 Thieves sacrificed to keep CodySun and Ryu safe, right?
Yep.
Yes, members are going down in that bot lane fight, but Ryu is still basically full health. CodySun is just about full health, and when those carries are untouched, the amount of damage they're going to put out is just massive, and somebody deserves so much credit for that last team fight win. I believe that was actually a 5-man Meganar stun on the opposing team's cataclysm.
Yeah, also shout-outs huge to Meteos right there, leaning over his chair. He had the second to last team fight, the penultimate team fight. He landed the ultimate on a Febiven, knocked down that Galio who died before he could get away with it. He never got seen in edit, which feels like a slight misplay from Hakuho. Sure, that would have been enough to keep the Galio alive, but that was a team fight that meant the second inhibitor. It meant 2 to 3 kills came through, and it meant that they got to stage that last battle. So, I mean, very well played to lick their wounds properly. They never really gave up too much of their own base. 100 Thieves just found the team fights they needed.
Yeah, definitely the case. And honestly, that's kind of the running you're going to risk with a comp that Clutch Gaming had, right? Kalista is much more early game. Jason needs to be kind of dominant in the side lanes and in the earlier stages. Even something like an AP Galio, I feel, is much harder to get involved in the later stages. Sure, with the death cap, there's the potential to actually one-shot someone, but you're still a melee champion who can get killed in a couple hits from a 6-item Tristana, so it becomes extremely difficult to actually have access to move forward and find that in a team fight. So, really, they did well in the early stages, but they could not capitalize enough. They could not close out when they did get those neutral objectives, and that's what happens when you let Tristana get to late game.
Yeah, so it finally happened there. Great late game performance then out of CodySun and Aframu, and it feels like they're just continuing to do well, honestly. Hey, it was a laning phase win for Apollo and Hakuho. I thought they did a really good job. They had gotten themselves first turret, I do believe, without terribly much effort. There was a couple of ganks coming through, and obviously that early game did really look good for Clutch, but yeah, by the end of it all, the team that was more Clutch ended up being 100 Thieves. They found themselves late game team fights, and that's cool. I mean, you have to imagine a lot of that is Aframu shot calling, helping to lead the team in the end of it all, and it was a well-played game. A well-deserved win. 4-1 is a great record. Now let's throw it over to Avali May and the 100 Thieves coach for more on that win.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Prawley. Now, watching that game from a coach's perspective, it looked like it was on Clutch Gaming side for a while, but then you guys made the comeback. Were you nervous at all?
Not really, because after, Ryu and Meteos got first blood and stuff, I was like, oh, this game's going really well. And then a couple of their plays worked, but it seemed mostly like on us to make mistakes and not them to make plays because, yeah, I think our comp was a bit better.
Now, you guys are 4-1. You had an incredibly successful start. What kind of expectations did you have for this team coming into the split?
Oh, I guess none, really. I knew this was a really great team, so I wanted to do really well, but it's really, I think, unhealthy to look at it like that, like, oh, we need to do well in playoffs or do well in regular season. So I kind of just went into it knowing, my job's going to be really hard because I have some really talented players and they're really smart. So I just needed to make them as good as they can be and to get as much as I can out of them. And after that, I don't really need expectations. I just do my job well.
Well, let's talk about you doing your job. How would you describe your coaching style, and how do you think it fit or meshed with this roster?
Coaching style? I guess immersive. I want to do a lot of stuff with the players all the time, and it kind of is on the borderline of being overbearing, I think. So it really does require the players to be like receptive to that kind of like style, I guess, and attention. So these players work really well with it, and right now I'm just trying to kind of mold myself a bit to kind of fit them better, because they're very individualistic and they're veterans, so they kind of know what they want. And right now it's just kind of me morphing my style a bit more to fit them even better.
Well, like you said, you have a lot of powerful veteran players on your team, but what would you say is the true strength of 100 Thieves?
True strength? I would say our ability to be extremely frustrating to play against and just like run them around the map, I think is the biggest strength, because that's really hard to like teach and coach, and for other players to learn. It's kind of like built in, or you just don't have it. So the fact that all these players kind of have this ability to like, look at the minimap more than kills is, a really big strength, I think.
Probably. Thank you so much for your time, and let's go back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Some fantastic insight coming from the coach of 100 Thieves as they move to 4-1 on the season. So going to be very happy to pick up that win, although it didn't necessarily come incredibly easy for them. But when we dive into this matchup, I want to kind of do or run a little exercise. We looked at Licorice versus Huni, and in particular that Jace versus Gnar matchup. Well, we ended up with the same one here, and we kind of set out some win conditions. And in this case, a lot of times we say it's on the Jace team to get a lead, utilize that lead for side lane pressure, and keep the advantages rolling. How do we feel they did?
Right, I actually don't think they did a great job of that on the side of Clutch Gaming. If you look at this fight, it's actually started by 100 Thieves for the most part, all the way up the lane. This is not like what you saw in the C9 game where they're pushed in and fighting under the turret initially. This fight started in the middle of the lane, and then 100 Thieves lose it because Clutch Gaming have a Shen that can come from anywhere and Galio that can come from anywhere, and then they collapse on it. But it wasn't like it felt like Clutch Gaming was forcing that down the throats of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and I do think Mark and I had some disagreements during this game about how much Clutch was doing versus how much 100 Thieves was making a mistake.
Yep.
Because at a certain point, before I feel like Clutch Gaming started making mistakes, they were in a one-death game, and getting 100 Thieves to engage on them, because I think 100 Thieves had almost no other choice.
Right.
Jace built Blade of the Ruined King very early on. They were usually forcing these objectives with lane pressure and never hard committing, and waiting for 100 Thieves to commit, then using their pluritude of defensive skills, Stand United, Galio Ultimate, and Double TP, to kind of always be in the right place and catch 100 Thieves off numbers. But where they were making mistakes is, you win that fight, take the Mountain Drake, guys!
Yeah, the fact that Clutch gets nothing off some of their advantages, they actually lose Mountain Drake, and afterwards, they also lose the mid-turret. Kind of shows that they did have a sense of passivity to them that I think we're not really happy about either way. I think where we disagree is exactly how far they are on that scale. I think they were slightly too passive. Jack thinks it was more all right, but the way that these fights broke out was a lot of the times kicked off by 100 Thieves.
I mean, because it definitely felt like Clutch at least understood the win condition. Maybe didn't play to it perfectly, but to your point, Jet, setting up in certain areas, so, great wave pressure that would kind of force 100 Thieves to have to do something.
And almost just waiting for 100 Thieves to try, because they had so many defensive tools. Here, Solo has a Shen who can ult in on him, doesn't even need the Galio, who can then come in to shut down Ryu when he tries to jump on Lyra. So those are good reactions, but they're also on a point in the map where they are forcing the reaction. But I definitely do agree that there were mistakes in when they were trying to go proactive.
Right, so for there, like you can say maybe they shouldn't have gone for that, but Triss didn't need to jump on top of the Jace who was getting a Shen ult. She could have dropped off to the side where the Gnar was going to give her a front line. So it was one of those things where it's hard to exactly say how much is the conceptual issue versus the execution.
All right, I want to push ahead, though, to where exactly it all falls apart for Clutch Gaming, because even still, it was a very tight game for a majority of the way through.
And this is the mistake. Jace is not in a side lane. He's trying to group, and you're trying to force. It doesn't matter that you're 10,000 gold up. If you're forcing a straight 5v5 and you don't get a clean engage onto a carry, which didn't happen here, you lose the fight, because there's a stronger front line on 100 Thieves, and finally Cody Sun gets a free hit after everything aggressive or counterable has been used by Clutch Gaming.
Absolutely. On the side, you have Jace, J4, Kalista compared to Nar, Sejuani, Triss that will always lose in late game team fight situations. They did have a big enough gold lead that should these fights get started well, they win, but they flub that engage. Jace isn't split pushing, they lose.
All right, so what does this mean for Clutch? How should they feel walking away from this game with a loss? Because it does seem like there was a fair amount that went right, Jat. There was a fair amount that was understood by this squad. It's just, hey, the W didn't, we didn't get the slash in the W column today.
Yeah, I think that Solo and everything around that should feel pretty positive. I think what should feel negative is similar to what felt negative for Envy last year with Lyra, Apollo, and Hakuho, is knowing how to make the last step with your team composition, committing to the playstyle forever and not defaulting into a team fight when you don't have to. This was an incredibly classic NA Jace game where they get the huge lead and then they're like, time to team fight, boys. You never have to do that.
Right.
You just need to keep him in the side lane.
And on the side of 100 Thieves, I think this is a really great game to kind of build morale. And I think what Prawley said was very interesting, where he said our players look at the minimap, and they never lost an inhib turret under the Jace pressure or anything like that. So they never actually hit that point where it's like, oh God, we absolutely need to force because we're just going to start losing inhibs. So I think the fact that they stay calm in situations when it looks pretty dire is actually very impressive.
100 Thieves moving to 4-1. We're heading to a quick break. When we return, FlyQuest face off against Team Liquid. Don't touch that browser.